Baker, and as county executive, I was proud to deliver real progress for Prince George's. New businesses, more jobs, better health care, and we cut crime in half. But the work isn't finished. There's a special election happening right now to decide the future of our county. This is no time for on-the-job training. Experience matters because we need to improve our schools, bring down crime, and the cost of living. I know it works because I've already done it. With your support, we can do it again. I'm Rushern Baker, and I approve this ad.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Kevin Ford. I'm the state lead with Win with Black Men. We're here this morning with Rushern Baker. We're going to do coffee with Baker this morning. So let's bring him up.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Mr. B, if you could just kind of start us off by going into why you're running for office and, you know, what this journey is looking like and meaning like for you.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I got my coffee, so I'm all set. I decided to run again because of the times that we're living in right now. If you look at what's going on at the federal level, what's going on at the state level in terms of our budget deficit, and the county itself with its own $170 million budget deficit, and all of the issues that we're facing right here in this county that I love. Our crime rate is rising. Our economy is stagnant. And so we have even lost our signature calling card that we've had for decades, which was we were the most affluent African-American county in the United States, and I dare say the nation. So in these critical times, we need somebody that can be county executive on March 4th, that doesn't need a learning curve, that can immediately get there. And so I wanted to use my skill and judgment and my experience in turning around Prince George's County. When I left, I served from 2010 to 2018. When I left the county in 2018, we were leading the state in job creation. It was the lowest crime rate we'd seen in decades. In fact, one of the years, we at a county of almost 1 million people, we had less than 67 homicides. And that's 67 too many. But of a county of 1 million people, we were going in the right direction. We expanded our building of our schools in the county. We had just created a brand new hospital that's located in Largo and connecting healthcare throughout. So we were moving in the right direction. And right now, that's not happening. And so we need somebody who knows what they're doing, who can hit the ground running and fill out these last 17 months of the Alsobrook administration. So that means you need to know how to be county executive. The last thing I'll say before we answer questions is, this is a $4 billion corporation. That's what Prince George's County is. And so you need to have the experience to deal with every agency and employees in a $4 billion corporation. And no one else running will have that skill. So, I'm pleased to be running. I'm also pleased that the public safety unions, both the Fraternal Order of Police in Prince George's County and our firefighters and EMS, our deputy sheriffs and our park and planning police have all, endorsed my candidacy because they know I can get the job done. So I'm excited about where we're going. This is a great time in the race. We're heading down to the final stretch, but I do believe the most important thing is experience.
Agreed. And that's a lot of what we've been hearing. Experience, and not only just experience, but what is the track record, right? What have you actually been able to accomplish? And one thing that is of note during your administration was the fact that you did cut crime in half, right? And that was a perfect segue from public safety endorsements into crime. I guess looking forward to this next opportunity of an administration, how do you foresee your administration lowering crime again?
I think we have to go back to what worked for us when I was county executive. The first thing is we have to have the women and men in public safety. We've seen a dramatic drop in our police officers. We're down 400 police officers in Prince George's County. We're down 200 firefighters and EMS in Prince George's County. We're down deputy sheriffs. We're down in our park and planning police department. So one, you have to build the personnel back up. That's something which was a hallmark of my administration, is focusing on public safety and education. So the first thing is to build the personnel back up. The second thing is to work on a project that helped us reduce crime, which was our Transforming Neighborhoods initiative, which meant that we not only increased the number of men and women in our public safety offices, but we also focused on those areas in the county where all the indicators were going in the wrong direction. So not just crime, but also truancy at our schools, problems in our schools, uh, lack of transportation, lack of job creation, all of those things, lack of health care, all of those things we focus in our neighborhoods. And that helped us bring the government down to the community level, which is what it needs to be. And because of Transforming Neighborhoods initiative, we work with not only the community, the private sector, and the public sector to actually make Prince George's County safer, but also create jobs and opportunities throughout. That's what I want to go back to doing. And I hear that from people saying that we should actually do that again. So we want to expand that and do it.
And it's also, I guess, important to note that you were able to lower crime without increasing arrest as well.
That is right. That was something we were extremely proud about, because one of the fears was that if we, increase the number of officers and increase the contact with the public, that we would see arrests go up. Just the opposite happened, because we did what people talk about, community policing. We didn't just have community policing; we had government in the community, and that helped us with the interaction with our citizens and our residents to make them feel safe, but also to answer their needs and their problem and their issues. And so we were able to reduce crime over, the 8 years I was in office, at the same time reducing the number of arrests. And that helped us sustain it, because that's the only way you're going to sustain the reduction.
So before we get into a lot of the craziness that's been going on around school safety, I just wanted to ask you a light question. So this is Coffee with Baker. How does Baker take his coffee? How does he like coffee?
That is a really great question. I don't get asked that often. I happen to like dark roast coffee, especially if it's Ethiopian coffee. That's my favorite, and a lot of cream, but no sugar. So
nice.
it's and I need it. I drink a lot of coffee. So people who know me, it's actually an interesting story. I did not drink coffee at all until I went to law school. Had never drank it before, but those late nights in law school got me on a habit of drinking coffee, and I haven't been able to kick it since.
So back to school safety, if you've watched the news, you'll see that there were two separate incidents this week. One being, a 19-year-old 11th grader brought two guns to school and a pack of marijuana just willy-nilly to a school building. And then you have another group of students out at High Point High School who were in a very highly publicized fight. So how do you start to combat the violence that we're seeing in schools, and not just student to student, but even student on teacher and administrator?
Yeah, it's a real problem in our school system today. Parents aren't asking questions about academic rigor like they did years ago. They're asking about safety, on the bus to school and from school, and once they get into school. I'm fortunate enough. My girlfriend works in the school system, and actually worked at Potomac High School, where the incident with the young man, and I do mean young man, with a gun and marijuana, walked through the metal detector. Knowing that he had illegal possessions, he walked right into the school. He's a 19-year-old in 11th grade. So clearly there are a couple of things going on: the safety of everybody in that school and the safety of the people who were patrolling. Luckily, we had, a resource officer, which is what my girlfriend is. It was an investigator. And we had police that we put into schools when I was county executive. We wanted folks with arrest power to be there just to make sure two things. One, that they could actually take care of the situation, but two, that we had experienced folks that could help the resource officers. So, and then the incident at High Point High School, where we know that there have a real serious fight, not just what you would see back in the day. These are serious times where people, so, how do we deal with it? There are a couple of it. One, you have to make safety a paramount issue in our schools. People are not going to send their kids to our public schools if they don't feel safe. And so you have to have the personnel, and that means the resource officers who put their lives on the line to make sure the teachers and all the personnel are safe in the schools. But you also have to have our public, our police in the schools. We need the ability for seasoned, trained officers who know how to deal with individuals, both who are trained in the skill of de-escalating situations, to be there and to be present. And so that's a very important component of our school safety. And the other is we have to look at what are the issues that are going on with our young people coming into our schools. There's a lot of, and I focus on this in my administration, that was mental and behavioral health, making sure that we had social workers and health professionals in our schools to deal with some of these problems. We got to get back to that. And so that's the role of the county executive, to work hand in hand with the school system, which is our largest employer of public folks. So we have about 20,000, school employees, and we have about 6,000 or 7,000 county employees. So we have to work with the school system, and then, because that's safety is the first question, and then academic rigor, what our kids are learning, is the second question. And I know this. All three of my children went from K through 12 through the Prince George's County public school system, and then during my first term as county executive, my last child, my daughter, was in school while I was county executive. So I saw a lot of these issues firsthand. She went to Suitland High School, as all my kids did.
So, and a lot of the confusion around, especially the Potomac situation, is, this is a 19-year-old in 11th grade, and people are trying to figure out, like, how is that even possible? How do we have a 19-year-old in 11th grade? Can you kind of explain how that came about?
Yes, I mean, what happened years ago in the legislature, they passed the bill, and the state's attorney was in the legislature then, and part of this group that passed the bill that mandated that kids stay in past 18. A lot of us, tried to talk to the legislature and say, listen, if you mandate these individuals stay in the school, and that we try and keep them in, it takes away the ability of the superintendents throughout the state and the principals to deal with altercations and kids who don't want to be there. We should be very clear. We made it very clear to the legislature that if you're 19, and I was 19 in high school, and you were doing everything you were supposed to be doing, you clearly were welcome there, and we wanted to put you on a path to graduating. But if you had special issues that you were dealing with, or you were a behavioral problem, there were alternative places where we could actually send those kids, to make sure they got the help. Like this young man clearly needs some help, and he's not going to get it at a high school which is not equipped to deal with both the behavioral and mental health issues that go along with this. So we need to make sure that we're helping folks. And so a piece of legislation that's put out with good intentions but not well thought out has caused problems throughout our system in the county, where we're dealing with individuals who in the past either would have gone to an alternative program or simply would not be in our schools, where it's not safe for them, and it's definitely not safe for the other students there. We just can't do that. We have to make sure that we give our students the best chance to learn in an environment that's safe. And this is a reflection of not fully thinking through what would happen.
Yeah. So yeah, and we have a question from a viewer. And if you are viewing out in the comment box, and I'll be able to bring it up on the screen like this. So, well, I don't know if you can see it, but it says, what security measures are in place to prevent unauthorized access in our schools?
So right now, what they have in place, and it worked, is a metal detector as they're walking into the schools, and school resource officers who are there. In this
All right,
case,
we're having a little technical difficulties here. We're going to go to a commercial break. All right, having a little bit of technical difficulties there, but we're back. So I have a question here from the audience. We also have,
okay, see the
if
question.
anyone wants to ask a question, please feel free to type it in the comments on whatever platform you're watching on, and we will uh, put the questions up on the screen and have them answered. So first question here is, what security measures are in place to prevent unauthorized access in our schools?
So the security measures that are in place, and it worked. It is a metal detector that our students walk through. The security personnel also have wands um, that they make sure they make sure the kids are not coming in with any unauthorized weapon or anything. So those are the security measures, and the other is personnel. For many of our schools, especially our smaller schools like Potomac or Douglas or some of the schools that are or High Point, we don't have enough security personnel, SOR officers, school resource officers for them, and then we have a police officer that is assigned to our high schools, which is a big help. I will tell you firsthand, by putting the police there, which we did under our administration, it made a lot of difference to be able to have people who know how to have arrest powers, but also can work with those investigators at our schools to make sure they're safe. So in this case, it worked. Um, catching the young man as he walked in, um, and taking two guns. Just think about that: two guns who walked into our schools. In the case for some of our schools where you have fights like at High Point, um, it's clear that we need more officers that to help out, more resource officers, because they're short staffed, and so we need to make sure that that they're working hand in hand with our public safety folks, our police department.
All right, we got one last question regarding schools. They're wondering, is the current safety policy for schools accessible to the public? And I would say that that's probably a question for PGCPS themselves, on whether that's posted. But if you have an answer for it, we'll take it.
Yeah, it should be. So it should be on their website and it should be accessible. And it's something that every parent, when they bring their child to our high schools or any of our schools, is made aware uh, what the policy is, what you can and cannot bring. So just like we've changed backpacks, that they have to be clear so people can see inside them. Um, so this is something that the public should know, and it's the way it should be, because you want to make sure that we're as transparent as possible. You also want to make sure that parents are aware of what their child can and cannot bring, to our school. Vaping is very popular, unfortunately, and a lot of our students will bring those to school, which is illegal. And so, yes, this policy, it should be on the website at the school system, and your individual school should give you the policy and make sure that you understand it.
Absolutely. So let's shift gears to um, economic development, because I know that that encompasses a lot when you're talking about increasing our commercial tax base. You're talking about housing. You're talking about um, a bunch of different things that all wrap up within that one topic. So, what's your plan for economic development moving into this next administration?
It's really to finish a lot of the projects that were started under my administration. When we talk about economic development, I just want to make sure, and that's a good question, Kevin. Thank you for bringing it up. We say economic development, but what we mean is job creations. And so the idea for Prince George's County to diversify its tax base means that we have to create jobs. So let's take an example. MGM is not just a place where you can go and for entertainment. It also created jobs in Prince George's County, from the folks who bring in the flowers to the people who clean up the beds, to the accountants and to the real estate agents who actually will come in and help market the place. All of those are creating jobs in Prince George's County. So we get a stream of revenue from MGM that's about $47 million a year that directly comes to Prince George's County. But we also created jobs for architects and engineers who are working on there for, as I said, the real estate agents. And so we want to create that type of job creation throughout. Another good example is what's happening at New Carrollton. That mixed use development around the New Carrollton Metro Station and Amtrak and the bus station was something that we began in my administration. And now it's a place where you see housing, apartments, townhouses, that has really taken off. But we also anchored it with Kaiser Permanente coming in there with their headquarters, one of their headquarters expanding in that area. And so all of these things will create job opportunities for Prince Georgians to really help on our economy. Another great example is Whole Foods. We call it we always name it Whole Foods, but it's really the Riverdale Station development. So you see restaurants, apartments, a hotel is coming there to that development. You've got Whole Foods where you can shop. And you also have townhouses. So the notion for us in the county is, how do we do development that it creates jobs, sustainable jobs, and our mixed use, which means that people can live, work, and play in that area. Largo is another good example. The reason that we located the new Prince George's, the regional University of Maryland Regional Medical Center at Largo, one, you're right near the metro station, but it also anchored a development that would redo the boulevard at the Cap Center and bring in new restaurants in that area. And to make it really work, under my administration, we moved the county administration building from Upper Marlboro, which doesn't have public transportation like a metro. You need a bus to get there, to Largo, so that we could make downtown Prince George's. So that does a couple of things. One, it gives access to your representation in a place where you can get to it. And the other is that, it also creates an opportunity for us to create development around that area. And that, once again, is jobs. It helped us, expand what we were doing at the Woodmore Town Center, so that we not only have housing, but we also have opportunities in the job center. So economic development, and using one of the tools I'll use again as county executive is our $50 million economic development incentive fund. That allowed us in the county to invest in ourselves. So we took money out of our rating day fund and we approached businesses and opportunities and invested in those so that we could jumpstart our economy and create jobs and diversify our economy. And that helped us. That is why Prince George's County led the state in job creation, which means it was small, medium, mid-sized businesses that were creating these opportunities for our residents and our young people to start a business. A lot of this was used by our veterans that settle in Prince George's County. And so these are the type of things that we need to do. So we're not relying on property taxes alone, that we're diversifying where we're getting our stream of income. And that will help us be competitive, not only in this region, but in the nation.
Excellent, excellent. So I know a lot of people are really excited. We have one question that came in from Facebook that is not on this screen, but I do want to ask it. So there are other areas like Landover Mall or Raceway, which are prime opportunities for redevelopment. Have you thought about any plans for the Rosecroft area?
Yeah, I really like the Rosecroft area. Because I think it gives us a chance to really expand our entertainment district in the southern part of Prince George's County. If you think about it, Rosecroft is not that far away from MGM and National Harbor and Tanger Outlook, and so there's an opportunity to take something that was very thriving in the 90s when in the 80s when I moved here in Prince George's County, that now we can turn into a really good mixed use project around that area, which would then feed into Rivertown so that we can develop along there. So that's one of the areas. Landover Mall area, I think, is another hot spot. We looked at putting the FBI at Landover Mall. The FBI is now going to go to Greenbelt, which I'm really proud that we put that deal together before I left in 2018. But I think there are opportunities in Landover area to play off of the fact that we do now have an economic footprint there, with the county administration being there, with the hospital being nearby, and having transit with the blue line there. And the purple line is going to create some opportunities in areas that have been missed before. So around College Park, New Carrollton, Bladensburg, East Riverdale, they're going to have opportunities with the purple line. So we're excited about the opportunities there. These are projects I worked on as county executive. I don't need to be brought up to speed on them. I know about them and I know how to make them work.
So we have a question from Twitter, also known as X, from Veta. She asks, please articulate your position on housing in the county.
Yeah. So for me, housing in the county has to encompass a couple of things where I think we really need some help. There's a lot of talk about affordable housing, which back in the day we called workforce housing. We need to make sure there's the ability of folks who live and work in Prince George's County to be able to stay in some of these areas, which is why mixed use development is so important, because it gives you the variety of options from townhouses to single family houses to condos around an area that actually has the amenities. But there's an area that I think we're two areas that we have to really focus on. The other is a lot of our young people can't buy their first home. I mean, the thing that was attractive to Prince George's County when I moved out here with my family, with my young family, is that I could afford to buy that first house straight out of law school and in my first job. That opportunity now is really hard for young people to qualify for a house, and two, to have the down payment. So we have to look at the programs that we've had before, like the first time home buyer program that my son used when he bought his house. The other is our senior community. Many of us, like myself, are downsizing, and we want to stay in the county, but we need something that's affordable, and we need more quality senior living places, not nursing homes, but quality senior living facilities like you see that are popping up in Howard County and Montgomery County and other places. We have some, but we don't have enough. And so I think as a policy, we need to work on that. And then finally, we've talked a lot about helping those who are having a real issue finding an affordable housing in the county. So that's where we use our Department of Housing and Community Development to work with those folks who financially just can't afford to be in a place without some help from us. And the way that we do that is by the county stepping in and being the developer. If you look at what's going on in Suitland, one of the things I did as county executive was I didn't wait for a private developer to develop around Suitland. Um, because when the private sector does it by itself, that means they set the market price. But if the county comes in and does it, then we can set the market price and we can say what we want to do and who we want to see in there. And so what we did in the county was we acted as a general contractor. We brought in the private sector to build, but we also set what was affordable. And so we made sure there was, affordable. There was market rate, and then there were those that were below market rate, so that we could keep folks who originally were from Suitland and in that area in the housing, and what we used to call keeping the integrity of the neighborhood. So as we develop and make these neighborhoods throughout Prince George's County great, we want to make sure the people who've been there a long time can still stay. And so that's why government has to be involved in that development. And I will say this, that was the same way we did in New Carrollton, where you had some that were market rate and some of the housing was affordable. So we want to do that.
Excellent, excellent. So we're winding down on time here because you do have another call at 10 o'clock. But I did want to ask a little bit about the budget. We know that there's $170 million budget just about right now. And then they're even projecting that over the next couple of years that could expand to upwards of 270 million. So what are your immediate plans to come in and combat the budget in its current position?
Yeah, I've had experience with budget deficit at the county level. When I came in, we had a $150 million budget deficit when I took over. It was not my budget. It was the previous administration's budget. And so that's what you get when you step into this role. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to spend the next 17 months of the last term trying to figure out what the budget is. So since I know that, I know the budget firsthand, my philosophy is to make sure that we're funding the things that make us attractive, and that's public safety. So public safety is funded at the level to make sure that we're increasing the number of officers we have, both for our fire, EMS, our police department, our sheriff's department, our park and planning, and our corrections. Because if people don't feel safe, they won't stay here. The second thing is our education system. We have to make sure that we're funding our education system to the tune that it needs to, so that people are safe when they send their kids are safe when they go to our schools. They get a quality education. And then you start looking at where can you make up the gap on the other things to not just close the budget deficit, because by law, you have to pass a balanced budget in Prince George's County. But how do we make sure we're increasing the number, increasing our commercial tax base? This is where you use the Economic Development Incentive Fund. So you start doing investing back into the economy. A good way to highlight this is everyone remembers President Biden's Build Back Better. That really is the same thing as our incentive fund, where you're actually putting money into the economy, creating jobs, investing in businesses that hire more folks to work for them, that then increase our tax base, both commercially and income tax in the county. And so while we're battling with a federal government that is hostile to those of us in the Washington region, one of the things that we can do is look at many of those federal employees who might be losing their jobs and looking at their skill set and seeing if we can invest in businesses with those individuals, that they can then come to Prince George's County, since they live here anyway, and start a business and hire folks here and expand our commercial tax base. And so that's how I would approach the budget. The last thing I should say on that is, our rating agency, Wall Street, looks at a track record of being able to create jobs. So we need Wall Street because we need to borrow money so we can invest in businesses, invest in schools. They, they're like any other creditor. If they don't know you and you don't have a history of running a $4 billion corporation, they're least likely to lend you money. In my case, they've worked with me for 8 years on all 3 rating agencies. We were able to borrow money because we had a proven track record, and I have a proven track record of creating jobs and being able to sustain it. And so having Wall Street know me when I walk in there, understand my ability, is going to help us at the county level to borrow money, to invest in the county, and to make it better. I think you're on mute, Kevin.
I was on mute. Okay. So I appreciate everyone for joining us. We're going to be winding it down here. But I did want to make sure that I mentioned before we got out of here that there is a televised debate tonight. Please do join us for and watching Mr. Baker on this televised debate. It will be on WJLA tonight at 7 p.m. And you can watch that live on your television on channel 8, or you can watch it live on WJLA.com. So we are absolutely looking forward to Mr. Baker going in there and doing what he does best, because we know he's been killing them on these forums almost every night. So really excited to watch him take the debate stage tonight. And again, you can watch that on channel 8 or on WJLA.com. And you should also be receiving a email blast from us today with our newsletter that has a direct link for you to click into that debate. So thank you so much for joining us. And Mr. B, I'll give you the last word.
Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us. We need your help in this election. It's a very important election for us in the county. Experience matters. Like I say all the time, if you were rushed to our hospital and needed open heart surgery, you'd ask the surgeon 2 questions. One is, how long have you done this? And what is your success rate? And that's what we should be asking those who want to be county executive. How long have you done this? And what's your success rate? I can answer that question. I was successful for 8 years as county executive. I know what I'm doing. And the track record proves that. I need your help. I need your vote. Your ballots are in your mail. Please fill them out. Vote for Rushern Baker. And let's get back to business. Let's make Prince George's County great again. Thank you.
We got work to do, and this is the man that can do it. And for that reason, ladies and gentlemen, I am giving all of my enthusiastic support to Rushern Baker to be the next county executive.
In Kennedy City on a hill, he projected 4 years down the road and said, what do I want people to remember of this government?
Our success or failure in whatever office we may hold will be measured by the answers to 4 questions. First, were we truly men of courage?
Right now, say we are moving straight ahead.
Secondly, were we truly men of judgment?
Invested in economic development growth, because we know in the long run, creating jobs and opportunities is what's going to get us back to what we should be doing.
Third, were we truly men of integrity? Finally, were we truly men of dedication?
That became the focus to me of what I hope to be the Baker administration. We were not willing just to sit on our hands or play it safe. We were courageous in going after economic development. Thriving economy was important at a $75 million budget deficit, when we were leading the nation in foreclosures, when Wall Street was threatening to take away our AAA bond rating. And we believed in our county so much that we took $50 million and bet on ourselves to invest in ourselves. Having the thriving economy was important, and we did it. From National Harbor to the Suitland Town Center to New Carrollton. The other area where we were courageous, I believe,
is our Transforming Neighborhoods initiative, where we said the government was going to focus on areas that I felt had been forgotten. The 6 areas of our county at that time that were in the worst shape. All indicators showed that those areas were going in the wrong direction. We were going to commit ourselves to not leaving until they change. I think the beauty of T&I in the areas is that there are groups of citizens who now know how to access and get government to deliver for them. When I took over as county executive, our school system had gone from 132,000 children to 124,000 to where we are today at 133,000. And we're gaining each year. People are now putting their kids back because they believe that our school system now can offer them a chance for them to get a quality education. Our education system is the best it's been in almost 35 years. For the first time, our education budget is $2 billion. We as a county committed to give more money ourselves, not from the state, but from the county to our education system. And it was hard. It was a hard-fought thing to do, but we did it as a county. The county is the safest it's ever been. If you think about the 2018 county executive race, crime was not the issue. I know that we've done a good job on safe neighborhoods. Not when I can look at the numbers and it tells me crime is down. It's that when I walk into a place and I talk to people and they feel safer, that they feel it themselves, then we know we've done our job. I've seen firsthand why having access to quality health care is so important. Just like the opportunities my family has for quality health care, I want for everyone in Prince George's County. We're building a brand new regional medical center in Prince George's County to take the place of the old falling down Prince George's Hospital. It's about integrating healthcare throughout the county, which was the goal of our administration from the very beginning. We wanted our government to be effective and efficient, and to understand that our residents are our customers. Because if people don't believe the government's going to deliver for them, they don't turn to it. And I wanted people to believe that if they call 311 or if they access county stat, that we'd actually deliver those effective services for them. When people are most in need, whether it's from natural disasters, whether it's our social services or our family services, our health department, really delivering those services when they most are in need. And so I'm glad that we've been able to do that. Prince George's County is a leader and recognized by the Obama administration as being one of the top areas in the country when it comes to the environment. We lead the state in recycling. We lead the state in waste diversion. We have the largest composting facility on the East Coast, and we've created sustainable jobs out of the green economy.
I knew 2 things. I knew you, and I knew me. And I knew that if we worked together, wishes, dreams, hopes turn into reality. Today in this great county, it is a wish, it is a dream, and it was a hope that made us #1 in job creation. It was a wish, it was a dream, it was a hope that made $8 billion worth of development happening at once. It was a wish, and it was a dream, and it was a hope.
I want to thank the residents of Prince George's County for giving me an opportunity to live out my dream. Since I was 17 years old, I wanted to be in a position where I thought I could improve the quality of life for others. These last 8 years as county executive, the residents of this county have given me an opportunity I never thought I'd get. And there are times when I didn't think I deserved it. But I'm so appreciative of your belief in me. And I hope at the end of the day, you feel like I've done just a little good.